What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Black, your internet relationship and breakup coach. Today's topic: what are the chances of getting my ex back? Part 1. Now, this video has been swirling around in my head for the last few weeks, and I couldn't really think of the right structure to put it in to really add value to your life. And this is the best that I could think of. We're going to split this video into 2 parts. Part 1 is really to give men or people who lean into that masculine side of thing a better understanding about how the feminine does relationships, what leads them to commit and eventually leave a relationship. And when we understand this, what are the odds based on some specific signs that we see? What are the odds that my person, my lady, is someone that I will be able to attract back by doing no contact? Okay, if you enjoy this type of breakdown, definitely leave a comment below after you're done watching and leave a like. And also for the women, this doesn't mean that you should click off. Definitely watch the video. Let me know your perspective, so feel free to chime in below. And also, if you want me to make a video about the masculine side of things, and you want to understand how the male mind works and how men handle breakups and no contact, let me know. Drop it down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So for the guys, to understand how a woman chooses a man, you have to become very familiar with one word, which is safety and security. If you think about society and just the way things have been for centuries, the average woman hasn't had full autonomy and full safety. And on average, based on numbers, women do tend to be more anxious on average than men are. And so because of all the harm and all the things that have happened historically, and also the way, frankly speaking, a lot of men can tend to be very overbearing, desperate, don't know how to take no for an answer, women essentially are looking for a man that can make them feel safe. Okay, it's a little bit different for the masculine, and if you want to see that, we'll make a video next week about that. But again, as a woman is walking through the world, she almost has a barrier up, and most people are not even going to cross that barrier and come into her close internal space. She's not going to let it happen because she doesn't feel safe. So a woman can go on multiple dates, be on a dating app, and until she finds the guy that makes her feel safe, that barrier is going to stay up. Maybe some guys may make cracks in the barrier, but as she's getting to know you, you might do or say things that, again, for this individual woman does not make her feel safe, and she will easily go about her business. This is why it's very easy for a woman to detach early in the relationship or in the beginning. Like, you go on 1 date or 2 dates, you say the wrong thing, and boom, she's out of there because you never even made it past her walls or her barrier. And rightfully so. If you think about it, women are the fairer sex for a reason. They have children. Okay, so they have to make sure, because of the world we live in, that they find the right type of guy and person to make them feel safe. So that being said, before you get into a place of being in a relationship with a woman or in a place where she seriously considers you as a prospect, you have to demonstrate tangible value. Now, there's a lot of things that go into this, and it depends on the individual, but generally speaking, are you attractive enough for her? Do you have goals? Do you have ambition? Are you going somewhere in life? Do you have good style? Are you a good communicator? All of these things will play a role in demonstrating value. And again, every individual is slightly different. But my point here is, where men can be attracted to a woman without her demonstrating any value as far as society speaking. She doesn't have to be the most successful or driven or the most attractive. A lot of times men are just like, oh, she's hot, right? So if you think about it fairly, women actually tend to do a better job of choosing based on a man showing her who he is. And once you demonstrate the right amount of value for this lady, she is going to feel safe and secure. And what's going to happen when a woman feels safe is that that guard and that barrier is going to come down. So think about it like an oyster, right? And I'm not sure if you ever seen like the cartoons or movies or whatever, where you see an oyster with a pearl inside of it. All right. So when the oyster is closed, that's a woman before you wear down her barriers with consistency and showing that you're a great guy and a good prospect. So what will happen is that barrier or that oyster shell is going to open up and you're going to have access to the pearl, meaning this is all of her, especially emotionally. What she was thinking the whole time is it safe for me to let this guy in? Can I trust him with my heart? Will he protect my heart? Will he, lead me in the right way and take care of things? Will he be an equitable partner? Okay, so she opens up. You have access to her emotional center. This is very important. This is not just a physical or sexual thing. This is her heart. For most women, you're not even going to get to a point of being in a relationship if she didn't let you into her emotional center. Okay, and when that happens, you should know, because she's going to want to spend a lot of time with you. She will sing your praises to her friends, her family. She will be proud of you because you've done things the right way, at least in her eye. Remember, every individual is different, to where she feels safe, she feels secure, and she wants to strengthen that bond and connection. Okay, this is very important. So if you never experienced, and you should just know, if you never even experienced this level of connection and bond and intimacy with your ex-partner that was in her feminine, then that means you probably didn't have a strong connection. What were the hugs like? What were the kisses like? Did she always want to spend time with you? Right? Was she always finding excuses to call and text you and tell you about her day? This is so important. This is when you know you have her heart. When you get to this place with a woman, now some men tend to abuse this. You'll see that you can make a lot of mistakes. You can do some things wrong. I'm not saying you should, but this is just for understanding purposes. All right, you can make a lot of mistakes, and if you remember and think back to your relationship, she will not leave. She will constantly, even sometimes to her own detriment, make excuses for you because she is bonded. She's attached to you. You are part of her emotional center, and like I said, it's very difficult for her to want separation for you. This is why you might have heard me say on this channel in another video that women do not dump men that they are in love with. And that is my experience, not just personally, but from coaching other people. I see this stuff every single day. I've been fortunate enough to talk to thousands of people at this point, which probably about 50% are women. All right, so I see the things that they say and do when they are in love with the guy. If you ever get to that place of emotional vulnerability with a woman and she's open, definitely do not take it for granted. There's a quote that I'm going to leave here that applies. If you've ever heard the quote by Bob Marley, it says, "The biggest coward is a man who awakens the affection of a woman with no intentions to love her." And that is so true. Again, it's almost like it's dormant and asleep for the most part as a woman is walking and going about her day-to-day life. And she has that guard up because, again, the world is crazy at times. And sometimes historically, men have been crappy at times, okay? And I'm not trying to offend anyone, but that's the truth. So she gets to that place, she opens up emotionally, and bam, you're in love. You're spending all the time together. You're doing amazing things and so on and so forth. Now, what happens during relationships a lot of times is that, one, it could be that her perception of you was not the reality of who you are. So while she might have felt safe before she got in a relationship with you, sometimes she may have misjudged. So it depends on how long the courtship was, how long were you dating before you got into a relationship. If you got into a relationship fairly quickly and she maybe didn't properly assess the situation and you are not actually who she thought you were, now she starts to question your value. The second scenario at times is that when men get the woman that they want, or sometimes find someone and they fall in love, you might start to drop the ball. You think, hey, I got my lady and everything is done, but the work is never finished. If you want to keep any relationship going, if you want to keep the passion with your lady alive. So what happens is either she misassessed your value, all right, and or you start to change, which is why you'll hear the common trope from women. They'll say, oh, he changed, and you're like, well, I'm still the same guy. Well, have you dropped the ball on your purpose? Have you been working on yourself, your fitness? Are you striving for more? Women do not like to be with a guy who is stagnant, who is going nowhere fast. They want to be with someone that they can grow with. So a lot of times that is what causes the woman to start to question your value. And as we talked about in the past, this is where the drop in attraction starts to happen. Sometimes it's as easy as not even having any boundaries. Okay, because relationships have ups and downs. For example, let's say she had a bad day and she takes it out on you, which can happen and happens in a lot of relationships. How do you handle it? Right? Do you get flustered? Do you retreat into a shell? Or do you become abusive? Do you yell? Do you scream? And are you capable of standing up for yourself with love? So because she had a bad day, being an understanding partner is very important. Okay, but if things starts to veer into the territory of disrespect, crossing boundaries, you should be able to communicate to her with love and say, hey, babe, I love you, I care about you, but this is not how I want to be treated. And maybe it's not something you say right there in the moment, but can you have a healthy conversation later? A woman doesn't want you to be a doormat. She doesn't want to disrespect you. And while, again, mistakenly it can happen once or twice, are you able to have boundaries? These are some of the things that if you don't have, will cause her to question your value and lose attraction. Okay? Because if you can't stand up to her, which she's not going to bite you, she's just a person, in a loving way, how would you ever stand up for her? How would you ever stand up to the world if she's walking down the street and a guy says or does the wrong thing? You don't have to physically fight, but can you stand up for her? Can you get her out of the situation? Can you lead appropriately? So a lot of times, these are the causes of a breakup, and we're getting to the odds. I had to lead with that so you really understand the perspective of having a woman's emotional heart. So you start to not demonstrate the right value. She loses attraction. What happens is kind of like that oyster with the pearl in it. She will start to close up emotionally because she won't feel safe anymore. The value that you represented in the beginning is either gone or you've become a new guy that she doesn't recognize. And it's almost like she will be in panic mode. I am not safe. I am not safe. And this is all emotionally, right? It doesn't, like, you don't have to be toxic, abusive, and so on and so forth. She just will question the future with you. You're not doing things that make her feel emotionally safe and secure. So again, she's going to close up. That oyster shell is going to close up with the pearl inside it for her own protection. Okay? And it's going to take some time. So the reason I bring this up is that when you're in a woman's emotional center, it's very difficult for her to leave. But usually, by the time a woman breaks up with you, she's already closed up to you emotionally. And this will take some time. And this is why I say women fall out of love slowly. They fall into love slowly because of that barrier, but they also fall out of love slowly. So she likely will not leave immediately. She starts to close up to make sure she's safe, because you've proven by your actions, at least in her perspective, that you cannot keep her safe. So she will close off and start to distance from you. And once that happens, normally you might see a lot of fighting. There might be a lot more arguing, okay? There might be a lot more issues in the relationship, a lot of back and forth. When you start to see disrespect in your relationship, know that, it's almost like the writing is on the wall. She's about to leave. Now, what'll happen is sooner or later, the words will come out of her mouth and she will break up with you. The relationship will be over. Now, what increases your chances of getting her back, especially if you're doing no contact and getting her back quickly, is, let's just, for simplistic purposes, let's say there's two types of women, all right? Of course, every individual is different, but follow me. There's the woman who is going to detach emotionally, but still have her emotional center closed. And so she will leave the relationship still closed off, meaning she hasn't opened up her heart to someone else. Now, if your lady is that type of person, she might distract herself with vices and drinking and partying with friends or going on trips and vacation. But you'll see that after a month, 2 months, or 3 months, she will still be single, because like I said, it takes a woman time to open up emotionally. This is a good thing. Okay, so your chances are a lot better if your woman falls into this camp, because as you go no contact, okay, and you start to work on yourself and improve and get back to the things you used to do previously, to becoming a better man and just showing and displaying high value, because there's no one else in that emotional center. Think of that emotional center, let me add this, as the office of the presidency. There can only be one person in the office at a time. You can't have two presidents. That's generally how the heart of a woman works. There's only one person in the office at a time. And so, for example, if she's closed off, there's no one else in there. There's no one else that has the job. So by just staying away and going back and focusing on yourself, she can start to remember and recognize what she lost and quickly start coming back to see, what is he doing? Has he changed? And this is what the average healthy woman does. And your chances are a lot better with someone who's healthy emotionally, who doesn't just give their heart away so easily. Now, unfortunately, there's the second camp of women who, when you start to drop your value and not do things the right way, she doesn't feel safe, so she closes off to you, all right, and starts to open up to someone else. And all of this is happening before the end of the relationship. You might just not know it. So when she starts to open that emotional center to another guy, and she doesn't leave the relationship until she has bonded and attached with this person, getting her back is a lot harder. It's not impossible, but it is a lot harder because someone is in the office of the presidency. And so if she breaks up with you and a week later she's with someone else, trust me, emotionally, she had been opening up to that person long before she said the relationship is over. That's the issue. So you need to figure out what camp you lie into to understand, how likely or what are the chances. The people with the best chances are the camp where she's closed off. She's not entertaining anyone else emotionally, even if she might be partying. That's a good sign. No contact is going to work a lot quicker for those guys. Now, there's the guys, let me add, the guys who you never even got to her emotional center. And you should be able to tell from the things she was doing, the feelings, what were the kisses like? Was she hand holding? Everyone is different, and there are people who are exceptions, okay? But this is just a general video. I know there's thousands of people that watch, so I'm trying to make this as helpful as possible. So if You never got to that place where you bonded emotionally. The relationship had a title. She was excited about you, wanted to spend all her time, introduce you to friends and family. Your chances are probably the worst off because she never even got to that place with you. There was a gap. There was a disconnect for her. Okay, and I would say like the middle tier is the guys who she opened up her heart to someone else before she left. It doesn't mean you can't get her back. It just means that that relationship has to run its course. Remember, there's only one president at a time. And so if she's opened up to this guy, they're dating, let's say over time he makes mistakes, she starts to lose feelings and she dumps him, what will happen is she will circle back to you. But that relationship might take 3, 4, 6 months to fail. So you cannot be sitting by the phone waiting for her. You must be working on yourself, improving your life so that you're a better prospect for her. But also think about it like this. Is she healthy? Does she deserve me? If this is how she was willing to view the relationship, if this is what she did, can I trust her with my heart? I get a lot of people who got dumped for someone else and things like that. You fall into that category. It really doesn't mean no contact will not work for you, because it absolutely can. But always think about that emotional center as an office. The more you're seeing someone else being posted and all that, she's not even emotionally ready. All right. Now, if she's still with him and she starts texting you and calling you, it means likely the same thing that happened to you is happening to him. She's starting to lose trust in his value and she doesn't feel safe and secure in a future with him. So she's starting to detach. Either way, you should be doing no contact. Anyway, let me know what you think. All right. For the guys, let me know what your experience is. Drop a comment down in the comment section below. This was a last minute video, but I wanted to put this out there for you. I hope you find it helpful. If you have any thoughts, comment, drop them down below. For the ladies, let me know your experience. Obviously, like I said, every individual is different, but this is generally what I see from coaching thousands of people, both men and women. And if you want to see a version of the masculine breakdown of something like this, how does a man think and how does a man respond to no contact and what are the chances? Let me know. Drop it down in the comment section below. If you have any thoughts, comments, leave them below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.